I'm looking
It's
at what number.
370.
I think it might be 369.
I know you're right.
Yeah, I think it is.
All right, everybody, welcome to the 369th edition of the Holy Backboard Podcast. I am Dustin here in Rip City, and I got my man.
Sage, chilling live and direct, Beaverton, Oregon, ready to talk about a very interesting prospect that draft people will say a lot of things about him, but I think actually watching him shows a lot of what he can and cannot do. But the one thing that I always struggle with is finding all this information and putting it down so succinctly like you do. So tell the people about Nikola Topic.
Yeah, second in our list of 2024 draft prospect Future Friday uh, participants. I guess, like features, whatever verbiage you want to use. We did Alexander Sarr last week. Nikola Topic is up next. And Nikola Topic is an international point guard. He is 6'6", 201 pounds. He's got that 7-foot wingspan. He's only 18 years of age right now, will turn 19 in August. So he will be 18 at the time of the draft, making him one of the draft's youngest eligible prospects. He was previously playing for Mega in Serbia, but then transferred over to Red Star, which is
Red
another
Star
team.
had his rights and loaned him
Yes, he
out.
was on loan with Mega. Now he's back to Red Star. His father played for the Yugoslavian national team. He was an Olympian in '96, played in the FIBA games in '98. So basketball definitely runs in the family's genes. Uh, Via Tankathon, here are his 2023-2024 per game averages. Um, 19 games, nearly 31 minutes per night, averaging 16.4 points on 49.8% from the field, on nearly 12 attempts per game, averaging 28.2% from downtown on 4.1 attempts from three, getting to the line nearly 4 times a night and converting at an 88% clip, 6.1 assists to just 2.7 turnovers, 3.6 rebounds, nearly a steal, and not enough to really register for blocks. He is currently registering a player efficiency rating of 19.84. On the big boards, Tankathon, he is up to number 2. And The Ringer recently released their 2024 draft guide. And if we were doing this for Sar, he is number 1 on their draft board, but we are moving on to Topic, and he is number 4 on their draft board. I would say we're going to say this a lot with a lot of these 2024 prospects. I like him, I don't love him. And I still think there are plenty of players I would take over him in the past couple of drafts
Oh
that we
yeah.
have done this, but that's just a matter of fact, and you can't change who's going to be eligible for this draft. So you kind of have to take it for what it is. You're going to have to over. It's like if you're buying a house right now, and like you absolutely say you want to buy a house.
Mhm.
You see the interest rates, you're going to overpay for something that was better when the interest rates were lower, right? Like if you take Topic in the top 5, that's not going to be what you would have done a couple of years ago, but that's what's available now. And if you want it, you have to overpay. So that's how it's going to be with all of these prospects. Let's start with the good, the positive. On offense, you have a 6'6", I would say a pure point guard with a really nice wingspan. You have to love the fact that he's producing overseas in competitive basketball at such a young age and
Mhm.
basically given exclusive on ball reps. Like
Yep.
he's not playing off the ball at all. Sage, what pops when it comes to Topic on tape?
Well, I think that we have a stereotype of European wings and guards. Like they're really, great team basketball players. Like they fit a role and fit around star players. Like you think of Nicholas Batum, he in his prime, he could have played with anybody. With Topic, he isn't like that. He's pretty awful off ball. He is 100% an on ball point guard that uses his quick first step to get an angle to the basket and then either dish it or use finishing craft to score under the basket. He is not going to dunk it. He is just a pure below the basket scorer. and
He is
most
a
of his,
classic Steve Smith under the rim candidate on a nightly basis.
I
Who,
was
by the
I was trying
way,
to what's that?
can finish with either hand. That's a good bonus.
Comping him is going to be extremely hard because he takes such a odd ang- he takes such an odd angle to attack the offense. When most players are attacking, it's like a straight line to the hoop. When Topic attacks, it's like a 120-degree angle of attack. So it's different. But he uses his quick first step to get that angle against low level defenders and get to the free throw line. He has really awesome playmaking skills off of that quick first step. But I worry that he's doing this and taking such wide angles against not even close to NBA quality defenders. And when he played uh with the real team in a bench role, he was getting walled up defensively. So the the way that he moves is so upright. I mentioned it, I was talking about it in the Blazers Edge radio Tuesday. He looks like Bob Cousy dribbling the ball because he's so straight up and dribbling. He has no bend, but he gets so skinny to the hoop. It really doesn't matter, but it's just such a weird thing to look at when people try and get more explosive to, the sides when he's just angling to the basket, finishing, but offensively, it really isn't anything other than finishing at the rim. Yeah, he
Yeah.
can't he struggles at shooting off the dribble. He struggles at everything, but the rim is where he's at home, and
I
he gets it.
wonder if this is something you can teach him out of, and I don't think it necessarily is him playing so upright. I noticed when we touch on the defense, you'll notice that as well. He plays extremely upright and stiff, yet he's still able to finish crafty around the rim. But as I've watched and others have called out, he really just operates in a straight line drive.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of east west wiggle or shake to his game. And if you're playing upright, you're not going to be able to do that. I
no.
also do worry about the upright handle. You called out the Bob Cousy comp. It kind of does look like
Yeah.
that. And you just have to wonder if if that's going to be a problem for him at the next level where you've got world class defenders. And
What's Herbert Jones gonna do to him? What's
I
Drew
mean,
Holiday gonna do to him? Marcus Smart. They're
he just
gonna.
doesn't. Do you think it looks to me like he has stiffer hips. I wouldn't say they're necessarily completely stiff, but they doesn't look like there's a lot of wiggle going on.
Well, what's the team that loaned him out? I'm sorry, I apologize. What's the team that loaned him out?
Red Star to Mega.
Red. So Red Star. I watched two of his games. He has a knee injury and is not playing currently, but I watched two of his games, and those players like on his team right now, it's like end of the bench rotation guys, and then the Chris Paul of Europe too. So he's off the bench and going against much more athletic players. And I believe he got like 5 assists, but was getting consistently walled up defensively with like the quality of like NBA role players defending him. It really worries me that he's going to struggle against actual athletic players getting that, especially since the wiggle isn't there. And then as his players get more athletic, he's going to take wider angles to the hip, to the hoop, and not be able to score. So the playmaking is there. I have no doubts about the playmaking, but the way that he utilizes the playmaking is quick first step to the hoop. If he doesn't have a quick first step to the hoop, where's his offense coming from?
First of all, Chris Paul of Europe is just a wild statement, but also an incredible compliment as well. So shout out to you for bringing joy to me on this
Well,
Thursday.
it was that old Clippers point guard. I forgot what his name was. Well, I'm not gonna look it up, but like,
Let's just stick with Chris Paul of Europe. I like that. But yeah, right now, if he's not getting to the rim, there's not much in the mid range or float game. He's not an off ball shooter. He struggles to shoot from three. He's got a somewhat low release. It is a bit of another, it's not fluid. Like, I don't think I'm projecting him to ever become an off the dribble scorer from the perimeter.
Do you think he's
Uh,
going to be a good catch and shoot guy?
if I said so about Scoot, I have to kind of say so about Topic because the mechanics aren't bad. And the thing about having a low release is generally you're getting catch and shoot opportunities because there's enough space for you to get that
Mhm.
shot off, right? So you have to think that as long as he continues to work, like the form looks, it's decent. Like it's not completely unhinged like a
It's
Michael
not
King
Michael Kidd.
Gilchrist.
Yeah. I love that we pick him as the bad shooter.
But
Oh,
as
Chris
we've
Paul of
seen with
Europe is Milos uh Tito Osic. He played on
okay,
the Clip, and Shabazz Napier's on that team too. So they have guards.
Shabazz is the man,
Yeah.
but also, we I also thought Scoot would be a
But Scoot at least had mid range to that.
more
You,
consistent shooter
yeah.
with the space he's given. And he's struggled this year, and he is a young point guard who is also more physical. So what I worry about, and I think again, a lot of these prospects, they're going to take some time, and a lot of these prospects, they have to kind of be tailored to a certain style of play, and you have to have certain players around him. With Topic, you need a bunch of play finishers, you need a bunch of
Mhm.
defenders, you need a bunch of physicality. Uh, right now, he's going to take a couple years to get the strength up. There's no doubt about that. I think you want to work with him with a flexibility coach, get him doing all that yoga, like stretch him out, like get him more fluid. Because right now, if he stays the fluidity level that he has right now, that he's not going to stay in the NBA. Like it's not going to work with the caliber of athlete that he will be going up against. But I love the vision. I
Mhm.
I love the playmaking, the passing. He's already mastered the pick and roll at 18. And it is also tough because you're watching a team overseas with Mega, and he's exclusively just basically running pick and roll. So you're
Mhm.
not getting a lot of variety, and you have to project as to what this player can do as a lead guard because there's much more to the NBA than just operating out of the pick and roll. Can he, make the hockey assist, or can he be a connective piece? So could he play off ball in that role? Almost like how Golden State utilizes their three guard lineup, right? Not all
Or
of them have
Lonzo
all their
Ball.
hands at once, but you get the ball with them in space and they make a quick decision. I would assume he would be able to do that, but again, you're just not getting enough
I
opportunity.
yeah, I can't tell.
You,
I right now I
yeah,
don't think he is.
nobody knows. It's all
Yeah.
projecting right now, and what he's able um to do.
Mhm.
But I think in this draft class, there is enough there to warrant the top five selection. Uh, Usually, young players overseas tend to do pretty well. Um, but yeah, he just there are some questions offensively, and it does make it a little bit more challenging. And we're seeing this right now with Scoot. When you have a player who is position non-versatile, right? Scoot can only play point guard right now. Topic can only play point guard with the ball in his hands. Like it would kind of be disastrous if you went long stretches with him
At the
off
two.
ball.
Well,
Yeah.
especially because if he hits his all-time ceiling of shooting, league average. He's not a good form's fine, but the ball doesn't go in the rim enough. And I think that he's gonna start to have shooting hesitation when teams just allow him to take wide opens.
And there's such a difference, Sage, in just shooting standstill in an open gym and then having to shoot off movement, having to shoot off the dribble, having to shoot with defenders in your face, having to shoot on the road, having to shoot with pressure, time and situation. Like everything goes into having to shoot in rhythm, off rhythm. Did you catch the ball correctly? Are you having a good game? Are you having a bad game? Like everything goes into
And
shot making.
there's a decision making element to shooting in a actual game versus by yourself at a gym. What about the defender? Is he closing out? Is he gonna, do I have to sidestep? Do I have to pass? There's so many more decision making opportunities that you have to do if you're in a game versus in the open gym. I'm sure in the open gym he can hit 20 straight, but he doesn't have to think about all of the context in a game versus, you know, chilling in an open gym. But yeah, I believe in the playmaking. It's just the all the other things about being an offensive player. I don't really get like I know he's gonna set up whoever he's on a team with, but how's he gonna like I know there's a touch there somewhere, but I have these questions about what he can do offensively in the next level. And if we're gonna talk defensively, I remember you and I would tease each other about Benedict Matherin's defense and AJ Griffin's defense. Nikola Topic is worse than those two. And he was doing it in a worse league than NCAA. He doesn't have effort and is getting bullied in a bad, Serbian league. When
Yeah,
he goes to the
he would get
NBA,
flagged. He would get whistled for a lot of those take fouls that
yeah,
has been brought to the NBA this year, where it's just, oh, we need to stop a break. It's where you just kind of stick your arm out and kind of grab the defender, like,
yeah,
okay, that's my foul. Plays incredibly upright, does not get down in the stance, not the best footwork. Like, I can see NBA coaches targeting him
targeting him day one.
on defense considerably. So that's
Yeah.
why you have to put defenders around him. You have to have a rim
He has to
protector behind
hide
him.
somewhere.
He has to hide. He's gonna get it. I mean, especially with point guard being the most
Mhm.
talented
Mhm.
crop of positions in the NBA. On the plus side, he is 6'6". He does have a nice wingspan that does make up for that does give you
So,
some
yeah.
cushion. That gives
Mhm.
you a soft fall rather than if you're, 6 foot 6'2", and
Yeah.
you don't have the extra wingspan. I think getting some strength into him, getting some more fluidity will help. I think if he can just not be like Michael Porter Jr. bad,
D'Lo bat
that's his
like yeah.
goal. Like, I know that's a really low bar, but like you can't go into a game and defenses like just feel like there's chum in the water.
Yeah, that he's barbecue chicken to any guy that can dribble. Like it's not even I'm sure he can do it, but I've never seen him play like adequate defense. He's really bad. And I remember when we were talking about the potential of him early, I was like, whoa, this defense is atrocious. It hasn't really gotten that much better. And then if he comes back this year, because it is a knee, I don't know. The timeline says in the next 3 weeks, but I would be curious to see if he improves at least his positioning defensively because he's now on the legitimate basketball team. He's got to play some sort of defense if he wants to play. Like he's been so productive for his old team that they had to play him. If they wanted to win, they had to play him. They got him loaned to him. They had to play him. Now that there's like two legitimate point guards, he has to play defense as well as, you know,
Yeah, at
attacking
Mega,
those.
he was essentially the Phoenix Suns
uh,
Steve Nash,
Yeah,
right? Like he was so good. He ran their offense. He was their conductor that you had to find ways, and he probably exerts all of his energy on the offensive end of the floor with all of those ball
sure.
handling responsibilities. So it is a trade-off there. But like you said, once you start to move up and you've got other options, and unless you can prove yourself to become a Steve Nash of the Phoenix Suns, you're going to have to play more passable defense.
Yeah. Like I think if he went to a team that was like defensive oriented, he wouldn't get off the bench with how bad defensively he is. It's a legitimate problem defensively. And then you couple that with he's not going to score until he finds the Bruce Brown, Gary Payton type of offense where he can put the ball in without getting 2 feet in the paint. We're gonna have some issues here.
What's your comparison for him?
Andre Miller, both of them weren't. Both of them are excellent playmakers. Both of them are under the basket scores, but he's so different than any other point guard or lead guard coming into a draft that we've seen ever since we did this draft coverage that it's going to be tough to really find a comparison. So I had to go back and think of Dre Miller.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I'm not mad at it at all. Like I don't really know who to compare him to
He's so
either. I
different
mean,
than everybody. Like no
the
one else
Ringer
is.
says shades of Goran Dragic, and I don't
I don't
really
believe the
see
hype on
it.
that one.
Dragic was lethal in the mid range. His shot was gorgeous. And he was predominantly a lefty. Topic has a little bit of a left right finishing ability. The thing that sticks out to my mind when I see a 6'6" point guard, like that really puts you in a completely different comparison level because you don't see point guards
Mhm.
that tall. I mean, there's shades of Sean Livingston in there
I guess,
somewhere,
yeah.
given the he was, there's shades of like pre-injury Livingston and
Mhm.
post-injury Livingston. Like he's never, or I shouldn't say never, he's not the mid-range shooter that Sean was. But you talk about the playing the upright position, the height, the floor vision, it's there. But I don't think there's a like, oh my God, this is a slam dunk comparison for Topic. And then if you're Portland and let's say he's on the board when you have a pick wherever it is, how would he fit? Would you target him?
Bad,
Would you
bad, bad.
not?
I wouldn't target him. I think putting let's talk about Topic again. He's a really good playmaker, needs to have the ball in his hands to be efficient at all. Has no shot, has no offense, and is a bad defender. I think that's five bad things for the Blazers. And then Scoot does the same things with the playmaking, the driving to the basket, but he also can go above the rim. So we're getting like a poor man Scoot Henderson with less versatility offensively and then no effort defensively. He would be low on my Blazers list. Like, but for the Spurs, you obviously take him because he is a point guard and they don't have one really. But for us, since we have Scoot Henderson, it like if there's any of the top seven there along with Topic, like if Cody Williams is there, we take Cody. Jacoby Walter, we take Jacoby and are extremely happy. Like, I mean, I guess he's the head of Reed Shepard, but Reed Shepard's a pro that I have no worry about busting. I'm kind of nervous about a Topic bust. So he would be rather low for me on my list for the Portland Trailblazers.
So teams who draft young point guards traditionally don't follow that up by drafting another young point guard. The most recent example I can think of was the Sacramento Kings. In 2017, they took De'Aaron Fox. 3 years later in 2020, they took Tyrese Halliburton. And then in 2021, they took Davion Mitchell. It's a slightly different because there was a 3 year gap
Mhm.
between Fox and Halliburton, and Halliburton was the clear best player available when he dropped
Yeah,
all
for
the way
sure.
down to, I believe, 11 or
11.
12
Yeah.
in 2020. So it's not like they had no choice, and they were able to flip him into DeMontis Sabonis. I think there are some scenarios where I could see Portland picking up Topic. If you get a top five pick, probably not, but you do have that Warriors pick that if it conveys right now, it would be 10. If he's sitting there at 10
Sure.
and you're
For sure.
picking between Topic and like Klingon or Kyle Filipowski or just some other player that you are not confident in or just you just don't like
Would you
your
take him
options,
over Dunn?
probably yeah.
I wouldn't.
Um,
Because Ryan
I
Dunn's
think
6'8" and can, he does everything you want defensively.
yeah, I like I'm a gambler in this draft. I will take a high ceiling over a low floor, especially when you have two picks and you also have two really high second round picks. Um,
Would you take him over Collier?
I haven't seen enough of Collier, so I will not be able to answer that. What I would say though, with Topic, on paper right now, what you said, everything is true. Bad fit with the Blazers. But let me play devil's advocate here for a second. If we had so much confidence in Scoot Henderson this time last year, and I think our confidence is still there in him, I'm not going to let one half season of Scoot deter me
Mhm.
from adding to this team. Like I still believe he's going to become a league average shooter. I
Mhm.
believe that. I think he's going to become lethal in the mid range, and I think he's going to become capable from 3 point. I think there is a level of off ball skill set that is yet to be unlocked. Portland currently does
For
not have
Scoot?
enough. Yes.
Okay.
Portland currently does not have another playmaker that would look for him or would make him a better player off ball. Anthony Simons can dribble, but he's looking to score, right?
Mhm.
We just do not. Malcolm Brogdon, same thing. Like he can dribble, but he's not looking to pass and set teammates up. He's looking to get to the cup and score. Topic is that pure point guard, and I've said throughout this season, besides rebounding, playmaking is a glaring weakness on this Trailblazer roster, and I'm all in favor of producing and providing more playmakers into this team. And it would be interesting to see if Topic could, unlock something in DeAndre, something in Shaden, and then also Scoot. Now, I think we're a few years down the road but from that happening. He has warts. Scoot has some warts. Like we know this, and we don't have the coach at the moment who is creative enough to make it happen. But you only get a pick once in your life in the 2024 NBA draft.
Mm.
You have to take a long-term approach to that pick, not thinking how we're not in a position to say we need this player to play this way right away. Next season, we're going all in for the championship. We need to take a 5-year outlook, which is traditionally the standard length of a rookie scale contract, and say, how is this player going to fit with this current team, but also do we have the flexibility to add other types of players around him? So at the moment, 100% agree, bad fit. I can see if I can see a path where it does become a good fit.
There's a
But
lot of what
there
ifs
is a lot of things that have to
and
go.
contingencies that
But given this draft is so open-ended and there's not even a clear number one, let alone a clear top three, that if we walk out with Topic with the first pick, I'm not going to just be like, oh, up in arms, like, because I trust what they're doing. They've done really well with their draft picks so far. And I think it's a bigger plan in place. I would say if you took him with that first pick rather than the second, it could be a mental blow to Scoot Henderson. So there's a lot of mental massaging that you're going to have to do when you take players at the same position. Overall, I probably would look to target others, but in a case where you're looking at your board, you're up, and there's just nothing you like, but he's there. Take him, make it work later. Obviously, it worked out for the Kings. I mean, if you look at it, they probably should have kept Halliburton and moved
and the trade.
Fox,
Yeah.
but they still got another all-star out of it because they player fell into their laps. They didn't overthink it. They said, let's take him. We'll figure it out. And they did. They made the playoffs for the first time in 16 seasons last year, and Halliburton is flourishing in Indiana.
But
Um,
I don't think Topic is Halliburton.
no,
Yeah.
I don't think so. That nobody is really great in this draft, but statistically, someone is going to boom from this draft. Like that, it happens. I think every draft that I've been a part of has at least one All Star. 2000 is an outlier when it was just Michael Redd. But even 2013, you've got multiple Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, CJ McCollum, borderline All Star, Giannis, MVP, Victor Oladipo, All Star. Like, is it a bad draft? Yes. You can't change that. What you can only change is who you're going to pick. Like, not change, but that's the only thing that you can determine is who you're going to pick when you're on the clock. Chances are a future All Star is going to be on the board. It is your job to identify that player. Is it Topic? I'm not sure, but there it isn't. I am intrigued by him given the age, the passing ability, the size. You just don't see that a lot. And I'm interested in a long-term outlook with Henderson, and Sharp. But do you have
I
anything else on Topic before we?
I we have to hit like the draft board has to go absolutely horrific for me to be okay with Topic being one of the draft picks just because of the I'm not really confident in him to hit Andre Miller, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
Like,
you're speaking truth. Like I'm not disagreeing with you. This is me just saying this draft class is so open-ended that I'm not in love with anybody. I like a couple of prospects. I don't love any of them. So if this is me saying if Cronin and the scouting department identifies him, I'm just going to trust them because I this draft there's just it's a bad year to have two lottery picks. Usually I would be up over the moon, but this year it's like of all the years to have two lottery picks, of course it's 2024.
like let's just say they took Nikola over Jacoby. I think I would be the one man rioting in downtown Portland over the blatant blatant bad pick. But again, if it goes absolutely horrific, I guess I could talk myself into it, but you need to have a creative coach. There's
Yeah,
so
I think
many
I'm gonna have to talk
things.
myself into a lot of these picks.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that it's just, I mean, like if we, the Spurs should take him. Like let
and they will.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another reason why I'm not really getting too worked up over it because I don't think he's even going to make it to our selection. I think the Spurs really need a point guard, and
Yeah.
chances are they're going to be picking above us. Um,
Like Washington and San Antonio, they should, if we were the speed bump for them, they should trade, and like we should make a switch and we get a little sweetener.
I
He
know
just
we don't
isn't good.
have big boards yet. He would be in my top 10. I don't know if
Yes,
he'd
yeah,
make
for
my
sure.
top five, but I would have him top 10. So
Yeah, I think he would be in my top seven most likely. But if it was Blazer centric, he's down more. But he's
that's
one of the
fair.
most productive players this year. And he has an NBA skill set that we can go in and say, hey, he's a playmaker. There's a lot of other things we probably have to set 7 picks for him. You know who also might be? Gravis Vasquez might be a comp for him.
Ooh, gravy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was solid.
Yeah.
No
He,
problems there.
yeah. Both under the basket scores, both have really good playmaking. I think Topic is faster than Gravy because Gravy was so goddamn slow. But I like it's that type of tall initiator point guard that isn't good at defense that he is. But again, Scoot Henderson clears him as a prospect so hard. Like I would we looked at Lonzo, we looked at Tyrese, we looked at Tyrese Maxey. There's
Lonzo's also a decent comp.
yeah, yeah, except the defense.
Yeah, except offensively, Lonzo's an interesting comp.
I'm just trying to think of all the point guard prospects that we've looked at in the last 4 years. It Topic isn't really measuring close to any of like the Cade Cunninghams, those type of players.
But I would also say none of the prospects would measure positionally are going to measure up over the last 4 years. Like we talked about Sar, who is at the moment the consensus number one player. I There's plenty of bigs I'm taking over Sar in the past 3 years that we've done this.
The only person that I'd fight for if I was in the draft room is Jacoby Walter, and he's not my number one guy. So that I guess I would fight for the guy. So, but thank you to everybody for listening to our Future Friday on Nikola Topic. We will be back next week for maybe Jacoby Walter, maybe Cody Williams. Um, I'm going to do some content over the weekend for PJ Hall of Clemson. It'll be out on my YouTube page. And then I don't want to pay for extra slots on the podcast, so I will label it and won't number it. But if you want to listen to it on the Holy Backboard feed, you absolutely can, but it will not count as any Holy Backboard content. It's solo Sage, second round, late first, second round content.